By now, you should know the world and all its ways. The artist is Amy Winehouse. Welcome to episode 3 of Album Armageddon! Welcome to episode 3 of Album Armageddon. I'm your host, Si Stevens, and joining me as always are my beautiful and sexy co-hosts, Rob McCauley.
Yes.
Cath McCauley.
I only said hello with words, but I died 100 times. Hello.
And Stu Whitehouse.
I'm really confused. Hello? Hello?
How are we all doing?
Yeah, strong.
Yeah, good.
The band
good.
is back
Tight.
together.
That's right.
So, what is Album Armageddon? Well, if you don't know, you're clearly not a member of our social medias, so why not go over to Facebook and Twitter and search for Album Armageddon? Don't worry, we will all wait for you to get back. Now that you've done that, now you know that, put simply, Album Armageddon is where we had to take 2 albums from a single band or artist, pair the tracks up, and discuss and decide on a winner for each track. You'll also know that we have some rules, but in case you're in a rush to get back here, don't blame you. Rule 1. Obviously, albums must have the same number of tracks in order for them to be matched up, so on occasion, there may be some creative licensing for this to happen. Rule 2. No live arena/stadium tracks. These are normally found elsewhere on the album in question or a previous album. Also, no interludes or skits. Rule 3. In the event of a voting tie, the host who chose the artist will have the overriding decision. Rule 4. An album can only arrive in Armageddon once. The same goes for artists, unless a strong and genuine reason can be given for them to feature a second time. Rule 5. The host who chose the artist can use the Napalm Death card, which allows them to declare a track the winner, regardless of the voting result. However, this can only be used during the discussion of a track, and it can only be used once per show. At the end of the show, we'll create a super album on Spotify featuring the winning tracks. This is more passion than critique, so don't have any long, boring chats about the key of the song and such like, just our thoughts, feelings, and occasionally stories around the songs. As such, we do get passionate and drop the occasional swear words, so expect to hear the word shit, prick, dickhead, and all regional variations of fuck. In fact, the only word we won't let through our censors is so every time someone says the word you won't actually hear the word and instead you will hear our amazing guitar riff that disguises the word.
You bastard.
So now with that out the way,
again?
well, I think it was.
Oh, right.
That's the one. So now with that out the way, as our intro said, this month is Amy Winehouse, and the albums are Frank versus Back to Black. Rob, it was your choice this episode, so why these albums?
That's right. Well, so I'll do a little synopsis on Amy Winehouse, but one of the things that occurred to me, obviously we're going around genres as much as possible. We've done a couple of rock, we've done some rap, but Amy Winehouse was a British artist. She was doing something a bit different. Very much outside my own comfort zone. I've been aware of her for years and of a particular song that we'll be covering during this. But I just thought it was time to maybe dip into something that was not so familiar to me. How about you guys, Stuart? Any recollections of Amy Winehouse?
Amy Winehouse.
Or even Amy Winehouse?
Just,
what does she mean anything to you? Do you
not
have any
really,
recollections
just
particular?
the singles. I remember seeing her first when she was on Jules Holland, and I think it was on the Back to Black album, because that's the second album, isn't it? Back to Black.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a big push of that because she was Mark Ronson at the time was quite big, and
yes,
they were pushing all that. So so that was my first introduction. It was actually New Year's Eve. It was in a I can remember now. It was we were in a cottage somewhere. Oh, where was it now? I can't remember where it was. So it was a group of us who used to all get a cottage together New Year's Eve, like about 12 of us, get down there. And obviously it's always tradition. You always watch Jules Holland at New Year's Eve. everybody has to watch it. It's the law, isn't it? I think that's what I pay my license fee for. Anyway, so and I remember like Amy Winehouse was one of the, and it was absolutely brilliant. So, but it was the classic. I'm probably gonna have to say it, and it will probably know how I have to say it again. That no, and we'll leave it now because it will be overused. But
I doubt it.
But no, that was my introduction, and really, really good singer. But I only aware before this challenge or task, what we've taken upon ourselves, of the singles. I didn't know really any of the other songs, so it's all.
Well, you say you were aware of the singles, but as we're going to find out, there were a lot of them, and you probably don't know them all. So
there were a lot of them. Yeah.
Cath, any recollections?
So she's not really the sort of musician that I would listen to. So I only really knew of all the sort of the shenanigans she got up to that were in the newspaper, and I know some of her songs because they were on the radio and you couldn't really escape from hearing them. But yeah, it's been quite interesting because I've listened to a lot of stuff that I hadn't heard before and have sort of changed my opinion slightly in that I have an opinion of her musical stuff now. Okay. Yeah, so it's been good.
Cool. And Si?
Yeah, it's a bit like you guys. I knew of Amy Winehouse. I probably knew more of her headlines than of her music, apart from like the big ones. Obviously like the Back to Black and the Rehab. But yeah, that's pretty much changed now. I mean, Amy Winehouse, now going back and looking at all this, she really paved the way for British soul and its popularity. If we didn't have Amy Winehouse and these two albums that we're talking about today, I don't think we would have seen a Duffy or an Estelle or possibly even an Adele.
Yeah, who's Estelle? Who's this mysterious singer?
She's not as well known British soul as the others, but she's definitely there and she was on that same path. And I think Amy paved that way. And Amy wasn't an artist that I would listen to. I wouldn't put her on a playlist or anything like that. But one of these albums, after listening to it so much, I can put on and not listen to. And that is a huge compliment in my mind. It's like I can put the album on, do other things, and it's in the background. I know where the tracks are going. I know where the albums are going. I know what to expect. And that's really what I look for in music, is music that I don't listen to.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's just subconsciously there. And I think one of these albums as a whole, which we're not talking about really as such, is one of those albums that you can put on a Sunday afternoon, sit back with a drink or a coffee and just chill.
Fair enough. Nice. Yeah. So, let's have a little. Let's go back through a little bit about her for those that don't know anything about her. So she was a solo singer. With a very distinctive voice, which was all the more impressive because she was only about 5'2", she's tall, with a tiny pocket rocket she was. She's well known for sort of putting raw emotion and somewhat brutally honest and personal lyrics into her songs, which, as we might come to later, is a bit of a double-edged sword. She was well known for blending soul, jazz, and R&B, as well as a few flashes of ska and reggae. And she was massively into the sort of girl groups of the 60s, even to sort of emanate, sort of copying the visual style as well. I think it was one of the Ronettes, the rather brilliantly named Ronnie Spector, who thought that she was looking at a photo of herself when shown a photo of Amy Winehouse with a sort of famous beehive hairstyle, until she put her glasses on and realised it wasn't her. Song lyrics, it's a journey through the depths of love, heartbreak, addiction, the complexities of human emotions. But one thing that struck me is that, slightly unlike most pop singers, a lot of her stuff seemed a bit darker at times, which sort of gave it a bit more gravitas. I don't know if we'll agree on that later on. She released only 2 albums, Frank in 2003, the title of which was a bit of a double meaning in that it meant referred to her nature and the tone of the lyrics being frank, as well as apparently one of her influences, which was Frank Sinatra. And she released that at the age of only 20. And then the second album was Back to Black, of course, which was released in 2006, predominantly based on her relationship with her then boyfriend and husband-to-be. And during one of their breakups, it led her to create this second album, exploring themes of guilt, grief, infidelity, heartbreak, and trauma. Oh, happy stuff. The second album, I did have a stat on this, but I lost it. It won something like 23 awards from something like 60 nominations. So it absolutely massively blew up for her at the age of 23. There was a third album which was rumoured to have been in the pipeline. And I believe she was learning to play drums for that. And it was supposed to be a progression from the kind of jukebox songs of the second album. But having heard some of the extra tracks on the second album, I wonder if she might have put a bit more ska and reggae in there, because she was getting quite into that.
Thought very much the same thing.
Yeah,
it's like, if you listen to the deluxe version of Frank, you can almost see where Back to Black was going to go. And
exactly.
I was wondering exactly the same thing.
She also played guitar, didn't she? And I think there's a lot of people didn't realise that. She's a really good guitarist. I mean, a lot of the tracks she played her own. Oh, in the acoustic guitar, and most of the tracks she played on those as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, she was really good. Yeah.
There you go. It's fact after fact tonight,
Isn't
Cath.
it just?
So sadly, that third album never came to pass because she passed away in 2011 at the age of 27. So I just felt that her potential was never realised. She was herself quoted as saying that she didn't really want to have a long career, felt she had maybe 2 or 3 more albums in her, but we never got them, apart from, demos and unreleased songs that we've got posthumously, so we don't know where she might have ended up. I actually bumped into her once outside HMV in Oxford Circus.
Did you?
Way back in the day, and I remember she was talking into her mobile phone, and I can only describe her as straight talking to the person on the other end in a very loud voice, which really made me chuckle. And I gave her a smile, and she gave me a smile back. And then I went on tour with her, and we bought a saxophone together. And sorry, that was the other notes. Sorry. So that's Amy Winehouse in a nutshell. We got 2 albums to listen to. Track 1.
Before we begin the track battles, there is a little bit of creative licensing this month to match up the number of tracks. So what we have done this month is we've removed Amy from Frank, as there was a number of hidden tracks that Spotify included for some obscure reason, making the track sound like over 13 minutes long. And we just looked at it and went,
that's great, because I didn't listen to that one.
Good.
Thank God.
And we felt it would be like comparing one track to 4, because you just couldn't split it.
Yeah.
And what we did is we also added Close to the Front to Back to Black, as it was featured on the Japanese standard edition of the album. I mean, we wouldn't need to mess around with deluxe editions of either album.
That confused the hell out of me, because that is not on Spotify. I've had to find that track. I had to find it on YouTube and going, oh, okay, all right, it's there, okay.
Yeah, it is there.
That really confused me, that one.
I because I've done this really quickly, literally on the train to and from Wiltshire. Just
Cath,
listen to the album straight off Spotify.
The audience don't know this. You took months of research.
Of course I did.
I'm not editing this out.
Okay, well I did. Yeah, I did the work on the fly, but I did slightly more work than I did for Public Enemy, because I felt bad. I was literally doing nothing other than going shit track, good track, shit track, shit track, shit track, good track. Good track, shit track.
Oh, we're definitely keeping all this bit in.
Yeah.
That's it. Flavor Flav will be picking up another hit then.
Okay, so let's start with the first track. The first track on Frank was called Intro / Stronger Than Me. It was released as her first ever single and got to number 71 on the hit parade, I believe. That's what the kids call it these days. It had a video which basically echoes the sentiment of the song, basically wanting her boyfriend to be stronger and more of a man, in inverted commas. And of course, that's matched up with track 1 of Back to Black, which was Rehab, the big hit. Lyrics which were autobiographical, and addressed Amy Winehouse's refusal to enter a rehabilitation clinic for alcohol. It was the first single off the album, and it reached number 7 on the UK hit parade and 9 on the US Billboard Hot 100, whatever that is. I have no idea. So let's go straight to Cath. What did you think of these 2 tracks?
Okay. Right, so the intro / Stronger Than Me. So listen to that one first, and I thought, I read the description about it, which is as you just described, and it kind of amused me because she's questioning the guy's sexuality and if he's even actually a guy, and then accuses him of being gay, which was funny because it's such an outdated attitude. But then I just thought, oh, for fuck's sake, Amy, if you're not happy in your relationship, just leave the relationship. But yeah, I thought that one was quite amusing. But then obviously compared with Rehab, I thought that was a really good song. It had a really fun Muppet saxophone in it as well that I liked. And yeah, I know the song and I was familiar with it. So I think I have to go with that one just because, yeah, those reasons. I think it's a better song generally anyway, a bit more catchy.
Okay, one up to Rehab, Si.
Yeah, I mean, Rehab put Amy on the map. And it's undoubtedly her most well-known single. Yeah, it's her most well-known single. It's her most well-known song that featured on the original versions of her albums, and it's probably her most complete single. I'm shocked that it never got to number one. You know, the amount that everyone heard it and knows that song, I'm surprised it only got to number 7.
Yeah.
However, the drums and bass just hit on Stronger Than Me. They're really nice drums and bass on that. And I think I suffer from burnout from Rehab. Jeez, I cannot talk.
You need Rehab.
I do need Rehab. It's probably the rum in this Coke that's probably causing it. I think I suffer from burnout from how many times I actually have heard Rehab through the years. I cannot say that word. Rehab. It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a long episode, folks.
Yeah, so for me, it's I don't even count like the intro because the intro is just merely just her like scatting along, warming up in the dressing room. Is I imagine is what it's supposed to indicate before she heads out to the jazz club to perform. So yeah, for me, Stronger Than Me.
Wow. Okay. One apiece. Stu.
I don't really like intros to songs. You know, albums, they're a bit like, why? You know, it's like Cath doesn't like live. It's what we've learned from Public Enemy, remember, where you couldn't stand the live bits and all that.
That's the only thing I didn't like about Public Enemy.
Okay. I just don't really like intro stuff. But Stronger Than Me, being a drummer, a great beat. It's just a brilliant, fantastic beat. And obviously, I've been looking through all the lyrics as well. I didn't really catch up on the, like you called her ex-boyfriend gay. I can't remember that.
Yeah, she does.
I didn't catch up on that. No, I just know there's only going. But it's a weird song, as in, it's not that. She's saying, you know, you should be doing more of a man's role, and I should be doing more of a woman's role. It's like, what the fuck is that? What? Okay, fair enough. Whatever. So.
But that is that all part of her sort of being obsessed with the 60s and how things, I don't know, how far does that go?
Maybe. I don't really know. But Rehab, it's a classic. It's one what she's famous for. It's the one when you asked me what is my connection with Amy, and this song is the first song really I heard of her. I'm not a trumpet guy. I really am. Don't really like trumpets sometimes, but the horn section in this song is just amazing. It's really good. Apart from the Christmas bell song sound, can't stand that. It's like it's like, is it a Christmas song? I don't think it is. So they don't need any of that one. So I'm going to go to Rehab just because it was my first introduction, and I do think I think the Back to Black album itself is well produced in that sense, better than Frank. It's just you can tell. I mean, you can tell it's got Mark Ronson's seal all over it. It's got hands all over it. You can just tell. And but Frank's a really good album. Don't get me wrong. But I think I prefer the 60s Motown-esque sound of Back to Black, and Rehab is just, it's not very Motown-y, Rehab, I've got to say, but it's just got that really good beat and a catchy chorus. Everybody knows the chorus. I'm not going to do it.
No, don't do it.
But mine, right. So mine's Rehab.
Cool. Okay. Well, 2-1 to Rehab. Personally, so going for the Frank track, intro Stronger Than Me. Intro's just that. Although it's a bit of a marker in the sand. Say, here's what I could do with my voice. Bearing in mind, we're talking about a 20-year-old girl who's just released her first album. So, you know, little line in the sand. Sure, Stronger Than Me's got a lot of pop leanings to it, but it's got a fat beat, That's with a PH. And immediately off the mark, I was thinking about, oh God, remixes. It lends itself very well to DJs coming and going, I like that, I'll have it. And that does come up a lot later with some of the singles. The lyrics are pretty pop. I couldn't work out what the wind instrument was, whether it's a trombone or saxophone solo, but I did really like that. And overall, I felt like I just walked into a Dutch cafe listening to that
very
one,
nice.
which is always nice. But Rehab is, and talking about the production straight away, it's light and shade between Frank and Back to Black. It's 3 years later. She's got more production team behind her. Her voice has started to introduce lower notes as well, giving her that Ella Fitzgerald comparison. Rehab, great instrumentation, super 60s vibe. Lyrically, we'll come back to this a few times probably. It's almost like she's exposing herself a bit too much with this. She's talking so frank. I was supposed to go to rehab and I refused, and that's a very personal thing. It's not sort of dressed up in any way. And I wonder if that was part of the overall problem, the problems that she has. She was just too exposed.
Well, the actual story of that is that she was obviously recording the album and she was out for a walk with Mark Ronson. And she was basically telling her that, I think it's her father and her boyfriend / husband, I wasn't not sure what he was at the time, wanted her to go to rehab, and she was like, no. And Mark Ronson was like, we got to go back to the studio and we've got to record this. And she's like, no, because it's just, she wasn't into the whole, I'm not going to say cringe or the cheese element of it.
Right.
But that's kind of what she meant. She thought it was too cringy.
Yeah.
Like, I was meant to go to rehab. No. And she didn't like it, but Mark Ronson convinced her that she's got to get to the studio and record it. And the rest is history.
I mean, that's part of a bigger picture. You've got to wonder and worry sometimes about these artists that sort of get taken under someone's wing as a very young person, are marketed in a certain way and blow up and then can't handle it if that's not part of their psyche at being 20.
I think that's more prevalent as well as the album progresses as well.
Oh, yeah. So I wasn't going to have Rehab as my winner, but having listened to it again, I don't see how I can't. Even though the other one's got fat beats and Dutch cafes in it, and it's straight off the mark. It is the single, but she's again laying a statement. Track 1, I'm going to do this 60s thing, and I'm going to do it right. And I think she does it really brilliantly on that. So Rehab for me.
Right. All right.
Okay, great. On to track 2, which is on Frank. We've got You Sent Me Flying / Cherry. And on Back to Black, track 2 is You Know I'm No Good. So You Sent Me Flying / Cherry was the 3rd single off the first album, reached number 60 on the hit parade. Well done. And You Know I'm No Good, now follow this everybody, was the 2nd single off the 2nd album and was later remixed by someone called Ghostfaced Killer. There you go. So watch out for that. It also mentioned James Bond actor Roger Moore, who was amusingly bemused as to why when asked about it. And it's a track that the Arctic Monkeys have been covering in several performances as well. So You Sent Me Flying / Cherry and You Know I'm No Good. Let's go straight to Stu. Give us the lowdown, Stu.
Right, so You Sent Me Flying and Cherry. It's a weird... I don't know what they were thinking when they put these two together, and as one song. Yeah, but the tempo in the first part of it, You Sent Me Flying, and I really like the feeling. It's a really good driving song, but it's a little boring until the Soul to Soul, Back to Life bit kicks in. You know, the drum beat of Soul to Soul, and you hear them going, "Oh, back to life," and it was brilliant, that bit. So I really enjoyed that bit. Cherry, I don't know. It just seems like it's bolted on. It's okay, but I can't. Right, as an artist, they've put those two together because they thought it connects. I can't see the connection. I'm finding it hard. Hopefully, maybe I will learn that from the U3 when you talk. You Know I'm No Good. Classic hip hop beat. I don't think you realise, but the bass line is "Jump Around" by House of Pain. just slowed down slightly.
Right.
And
you found a gap in my facts there.
classic sax sound as well. It's I just love it. That's what gave me my winner really, because the beat at the start of that was going, oh yeah, this is good there, yeah, and it's kicking in. And went, that's Jump Around, isn't it? It's just slightly slow. And no, but I just think it's a better song anyway. I just think the delivery of that one, she's using more ranges, and it just seems to be more fun. And I don't like the two songs strapped together with sellotape business. It just
fair enough.
I just don't need that. So to me, it's You Know I'm No Good.
One up to You Know I'm No Good. Let's go over to Cath.
Ooh, okay. So I have to agree with Stu that it seems really weird to stick those two songs together, You Sent Me Flying and Cherry, because You Sent Me Flying was boring. Did not like it.
Wow.
Too piano-y. Not my sort of
Not
thing.
even the soul to soul bit. Back to
I just found it it was boring. It's so not my sort of thing at all. And it's about the usual topic of boyfriend's broken my heart. So yeah, didn't like that, but I thought Cherry was really good. So Cherry, I just very much enjoyed that. Thought it was very catchy, very interesting. There's divided opinion about what Cherry or who Cherry actually is. Is it Amy's beloved guitar, or is it a person? Who knows? I don't know. Internet doesn't seem to know either, but I like Cherry. So then, You Know I'm No Good. I thought the tune was nice, but just, the topic kind of sad. But I think I prefer Cherry. So even though it's sellotaped to a shit song, I'm going to vote for You Sent Me Flying Straight Cherry.
I like the fact, Cath, that you're giving you're channeling Amy Winehouse's honesty in your own review of Amy Winehouse. This is perfect. So we've got one apiece here. Si, break the duck.
So You Know I'm No Good for me is like really telling of like Amy starting to have a really dark and dangerous lifestyle. You can tell all of like, the heavy drinking, the addiction, whereas You Sent Me Flying is more of a direct foil to Stronger Than Me. Because for me, that she's like beginning to unravel the person that she can't work out is gay or not. In the first
guitar.
song. But no, the guitar is just Cherry.
Oh, or not. Who knows?
So that's the way I kind of saw it. It was like, you got Stronger Than Me, where she's kind of like, oh, you're a bit of a dick. You're not really doing what I'm expecting. Then she's unraveling them more in You Sent Me Flying. And then she's like, making out that she's met someone at a bar, she's got great pickups and blah 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 blah, and it's actually my guitar. And her last line of Cherry is, "I'm talking about my new guitar."
Oh, I didn't get that far.
It's the in-depth analysis. From
I was on the train. What can I say?
So yeah, it's both are good tracks, but I don't think You Sent Me Flying really gets going until the halfway through when those drums kick in, like you used to. Once those drums kick in, completely different track. Cherry, for me, is a bit of a, as you said, a bit sellotaped on there. Same way as the intro is sellotaped onto Stronger Than Me. If Spotify had those as separate tracks, we would have disregarded them both completely. We wouldn't have even been discussing those two bits.
I might have forced you to.
Well, you can
just
try.
spite.
It's literally just a little interlude about her guitar, or not a guitar, or possibly a guitar. So for me, when the drums kick in, You Know I'm No Good is more a completer song. So I'm going for You Know I'm No Good.
Okay.
Right.
Well, it looks like we've not going to have a tie because so You Sent Me Flying / Cherry. I just regarded it as one track in my mind.
You've got to, haven't you?
So I like the fact it was a sort of mashup of jazz and soul, and I just got the idea of walking into this dimly lit club where they're serving very nice cocktails, and there's just sort of one person on stage just sort of singing nicely in the background. And I actually preferred it to when the beat does drop, weirdly. And I think I narrowed it down to the fact that I didn't like the piano with the beat, and that sort of
the piano sucked.
So so it was supposed to be the second part of the song, but fair enough. I personally wanted the first part to continue, but the big thing I did think was that she was starting to show quite a few vocal chops on that track, which I thought was pretty good. You Know I'm No Good. This one was really interesting. So it got me thinking about her emulation of style. And although she had her own style as well, but there's one particular note she hits that got me searching the internet for a particular track, and it was Crazy He Calls Me by Billie Holiday, which is on the it's one of the tracks on Fallout 76 playlist with that whole sort of vibe of the 50s and 60s. And she hits that note and warbles it a few times. So I wonder if that was a particular influence on her. So Billie Holiday, yeah. I loved the beat on it. I loved the wind instruments. I don't know particularly what they were. I just thought it was very groovy. So You Know I'm No Good takes the win for me.
Right, okay.
Excellent.
Giving us the winner.
Yeah.
All right, on to track 3. Track 3 on Frank was Now You Know. And track 3 on Back to Black was Me and Mr. Jones. So I don't have much to say about either of those tracks. So let's go straight to Si for his thoughts.
Thanks for that really short intro there. I mean, I'm going to make it as just as short. I'm going for Me and Mr. Jones. And like Sherlock Holmes can rest easy tonight, because I'm about, because it's a song that when I first saw the track listing, I thought, she's done a cover version of Billy Paul's Me and Mrs. Jones. But as soon as I heard like what was one of the best lyrics on the album, when Amy sings, "What kind of fuckery is this?" I guess that's not the cover version I was expecting. Now You Know, I feel is more jazz club, and as a result, it feels like all the elements of the song are doing their own thing and don't always feel like they're on the same page. I also really don't care for the chorus of Know You Now. I got to know you now, and they never see you again. Just fuck off, Amy.
Go and the worst musical in the world.
So yeah, Me and Mr. Jones gets it for me.
Okay, Cath.
Right. So Know You Now, I have real problems with that title of the song, because I just want to say Now You Know, and I've been struggling with it.
This is Fight for Your Right again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought I wasn't too into it, and I think it irritated me slightly with the jazz kind of boo doo boo doo boo bo sort of lyrics. I just shut up, Amy. Just sing normally. Don't do the whole pretentious jazz shit. Don't listen to that. So I wasn't too keen on that. Me and Mr. Jones is about a couple who are cheating on their partners, and which I thought, it's going to be quite an interesting song. This then, lots of mudslinging and stuff. Also, like Si, I thought what kind of fuckery is this lyric? Very amusing, because what kind of fuckery is this? Who knows? But yeah, I just thought it was a better song, just more entertaining and more to my sort of tastes than the other one.
The song was originally meant to be called Fuckery as well.
Oh, really? Well, that would have got extra points. In my
totally.
I disagree. I think that expecting Me and Mr. Jones and then dropping the line, "What sort of fuckery is this?"
It's not a cover version now.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's completely unexpected. You know. Okay, Stu, give us your thoughts.
Now You Know. God, that's a really odd way to say it, isn't it? Really liked the rim shot of the drums at the start. Actually, it's not just the start; it's all the way through the whole track. But that's the only interesting thing about that song, in my opinion. It's just very boring. It's just playing by the numbers. Nothing. You know that she can do better. That's the thing. It's just, I wonder if it's one of those. Right, guys, we need X amount of songs for the album, and we're a bit short. Can you do anything? Yeah, I got this one, and it just feels like it was thrown in there quickly to get something done.
Yeah.
Me and Mr. Jones, love the Motown feel of that song. It's all about Motown, that one. It's fantastic. Actually, most of Back to Black, which I've already said, is very Motown influenced. And even the recording, I wouldn't say the recording technique because I believe it's all digital, but the way the backing singers deliver their lines and just everything, it's just really good. I love the swearing. It adds so much impact. These are my notes. Swearing add extra impact, love it. I love it. It's brilliant. So that's why it gets me, because it used a lot of swearing, and that's good. It's good in my book.
More points for swearing.
Well, there we go. Well, I can tell you all that my hand is hovering over the Napalm Death button.
Oh no!
But let's see how we go in my review.
Right, okay.
So, and I've just seen I wish I could bottle the look that Stu was just giving me. So now you know. I was sold on a super cheap thrill, which is that it started. Now you know, or know you now. It started with a vinyl crackle, and that just got me straight away. I don't know why. And the whole thing just made me think of drinking cocktails on a beach, possibly in a grass skirt. You know, why not? And it was a vocal showcase. Vocals all over the shop. I know that that's not everyone's cup of tea, but again, you know, it's her first album. She's trying to make an impression. I didn't think it was as bad as some of you guys might have thought. Me and Mr. Jones, yes, that line that had me out of my chair, punching the air. Come on, Amy, get them. And again, I just like the fact that it was a bit of curveball, and she wasn't afraid to. Well, she didn't mince her words. Let's put it that way, which I thought was quite refreshing with this sort of song. I thought it would sit just so well in a compilation of an era that it wasn't even made in. You know, just evoking that 60s stuff. I love the background singers, but to be honest, I just like the more upbeat nature of Now You Know. So
Know You Now.
Yeah, which, you know, I was so excited I couldn't learn to say it properly.
Nobody can, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it was Know You Now, but overall, me and Mr. Jones is the winner.
Yeah, good choice.
Good, there you go.
Good.
All right.
But you're keeping your votes as Now You Know.
My hand has not touched the button.
Oh, that other song, that one. Okay.
It may be touching it later. Okay, on to track 4, which was on Frank, the marvellously named Fuck Me Pumps, versus Back to Black, Just Friends. Now, Fuck Me Pumps, I have to tell you something about this. I'm not familiar with that phrase, and I had myself inserted a comma when there was no comma. I was expecting it.
Fuck me pumps, or fuck
I was
me
expecting
pumps.
I was expecting a track about a submarine engineer who was bemoaning the lack of recreational equipment. What I didn't realise it was about a pair of sexy women's shoes. So there we go.
Yep.
We've all learnt something today. And I even had it in a sort of northern accent in my head. Fuck me pumps. But there we go. That track actually had over 60 million listens on Spotify, which I thought was rather interesting. And Just Friends, there's no particularly special fact about this. So let's go straight over to Cath for her newscast on this track.
Right, okay. So Fuck Me Pubs, I thought, was a very entertaining song. About women who use their sexuality to get by on their... Well, to get what they want from men, basically. And I thought it was just a very amusing, bitchy song. It was quite an upbeat, fun, enjoyable little ditty. So, that one, very enjoyable. And I thought, it's probably going to be better than the other one. But then, so for just the other one, Just Friends, I was thinking, well, it sounds a bit boring, really, Just Friends. You know, there's no drama. And it's, about this boy that Amy wants to be just friends with, but then feelings get in the way, as they do. I'm not really sure what's going on. I thought the intro was awful, and I just thought this is not a good start. Late night shitty jazz does not win my vote. But then it changed into this like really cool like Jamaican reggae kind of song, which I really enjoyed. So it's actually really hard to choose between the two because I think I enjoyed them both equally. But I guess I have to pick one, so I'm going to go with Just Friends because I think I just enjoyed it slightly more.
All right. Well, let's go immediately to our submarine expert Stu to give us what he thought about the lack of operational equipment.
So, fuck me pumps.
You can't say it now, can you?
Now you see, once you've said it like that, you can't think any other way.
Right.
You see my predicament.
I do. Right, musically, a little boring, but Amy's voice is fantastic in that song. It is brilliant. It's just really good. And I've written down in my notes here, so it's about footwear and women who try and get their ways through sexuality to get whatever they want. It's an okay song. Just Friends. What Cath has described, I loved. I'm in a dark jazz club having a nice whiskey and just that's really, I don't even like whiskey, but I'm going to drink it anyway because I'm in a dark jazz club. And then all of a sudden it opens up to reggae and it's like, hey, everybody's having a party.
Yeah.
And it's obviously the classic Friends with Benefits song as well, which I think every album like this needs one. So it is a tough one. Because I really like Amy's voice. I think Amy's voice in Fuck Me Pumps is actually far better. But Just Friends is, I don't know. I like the mashup of the two styles. Now I know that what we mentioned about earlier on was You Set Me Flying Show, but they are two different songs.
Yeah,
they're not even where this one bleeds the two styles in quite nicely together.
Yeah.
So I'm going with.
make the right
For
choice.
pain. I'm not seeing pain on Stu's face since like the Queen episode.
And in 3, 2, 1,
Just Friends.
decision. Just Friends.
Yay!
Okay, great. Well, Si, I know that you prefer sexy footwear, so give me your lowdown on Fuck Me Pumps versus Just Friends.
See, I loved Fuck Me Pumps, but now all I can think is, oh no, fuck me pumps.
Fuck me pumps.
Pumps has got one of the most catchy choruses that Amy recorded, I think.
Huh.
And the satirical dig at Gold Diggers is one of those songs that you can sit and not listen to, as it's so chilled. But when you sit and do listen to it, the lyrics are quite humorous. And where she's observing, you're basically in Amy's head as she's sitting at a bar observing that type of woman. Just Friends, and this is going to be so unpopular. This is my notes. Just Friends, almost a nothing track on the album.
Ooh,
Wow.
okay.
Ooh, scathing.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. And it's a chilled out reggae feel. And this is what we were talking about earlier about where she was going. And it kind of feels out of place in comparison to everything else she recorded on these two albums.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you look at the deluxe editions of Frank and you hear the elements of Back to Black, and then you listen to the deluxe edition of Back to Black and you hear Cupid and Monkey Man and Hey Little Rich Girl and You're Wondering Now, which are all reggae cover versions, you do wonder if that's going to be the direction she took with her third album, which we're never going to find out. Yeah, it's a nice track, but it's almost a nothing song for me. It's Fuck Me Pumps.
Ooh, okay.
Wow. Okay, well, there we go. So 2-1 to Just Friends at the moment. So, Fuck Me Pumps. I didn't like the beat or the bass line, personally. I don't know why. I'm not a great fan of R&B anyway, but this didn't do much to sway me. I was reading some reviews. Someone from the music press said they thought this was the best song on Frank, which I thought was interesting. I just, lyrically, while it was clever, it did just sound a bit bitchy and just written by someone who was young. So, yeah, that didn't swing me too well there. Just Friends, I was noticing more and more as we went through Back to Black that, she's putting a lot more low tones in her voice than she had on the first album, which I really liked. Or maybe it was just that Fuck Me Pumps was a bit more nasal than I might have liked. So I like the fact that it was reggae. I totally appreciate that direction, and certainly from what Si was saying about the bonus tracks, was that what we might have heard in the future? And with Just Friends, again, I like the fact that we could be on a beach or we could be in a smoky bar hearing this. Just sort of the stuff. That's the sort of thing that I like, And she was doing some clever things with the sort of phrasings as well, like holding the notes over the beats, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, Just Friends for me, and also because. What I thought I was getting from Fuck Me Pumps was not what I was getting. So there we go. Just Friends for the win.
Excellent.
No, complete disregard for the oil industry and their lack of equipment now.
I know. I thought it was going to be a political song, but there we go. Anyway, on to track 5. On Frank, we've got I Heard Love Is Blind. And on Back to Black, it's the title track, Back to Black. So... all I have dug out on these, which I won't spoil too much what I'm going to say, Back to Black is up to 791 million listens on Spotify, which I didn't think I could say a number that high until I learned how to say that. So there we go. I know, there we go. Let's go straight back to Si to hear his thoughts on these two.
Well, for me, Love Is Blind takes us back to that jazz club style again. But for me, this time it really works, as the elements all seem to mesh coherently, and it highlights Amy's singing far better than Know You Now was even able to. It was also the song that showcased her before she was signed to Island Records. That was her demo tape that she was sending off, was I Heard Love Is Blind. However, for me, it's Back to Black every single day of the week, twice on Sundays. It's a track which, in hindsight, it showcases the wrong word. Highlights, maybe is the word I'm looking for. It highlights how reliant she was on alcohol to cope with heartache and her depression.
Yeah.
And does anyone else hear a slowed down version of Baby Love by the Supremes?
No.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Now you come to mention it.
So yeah, that really ticked a lot of boxes for me. So yeah, it's Back to Black. I think it's a far superior song. It showcased how much she'd grown, but also in hindsight showed how much probably trouble she was in mentally, and she probably did need a visit from Hawaiian Bruce. And
yes, Dr. Hawaiian Bruce.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder also if she had carried on releasing albums, if there were certain tracks like that would have become outdated for her, and even though it was so popular, she might have not felt comfortable singing it if she'd sort of turned things around a little bit. So
I think as well, what really makes it sad as well is, this is a complete segue we're going to go on here, is you look at it, almost feels like how little help she got, and then and that was back in like the early 2000s, and now you go to fast forward to this year, and how much support and help Lewis Capaldi's been receiving.
Yeah.
And if we knew more about mental illness and depression, all that back in Amy Winehouse's time, we probably would have got that third album.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might well be right there. Yeah. So you're saying Back to Black for the win?
Yeah, back to the happiness. So it's Back to Black for the
win. Let's go to Stu, see if he echoes that sentiment.
Well, yes, I do. It's Back to Black.
Okay, moving on.
Right, so I heard Love Is Blind. I think that she played guitar on that one.
Right.
It's and I really like guitar sounds where you can hear the fingers on the fret. I love it. It's just really nice.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Not too sure about the flute part in that song though.
I was a flute.
Never a flute fan, me. No. So, and also I don't really like the way she sings some of the lyrics. It's that she's got really good range in the song, but then there's some parts that I don't know, everybody's different, aren't they? Just grates the way she just does one part of it. So I think the lyric I got down is I drank so much and needed to touch. That bit when she sings that, it's just like, oh no, please sing it a different way, not like that. So but Back to Black, it's Back to Black. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. The whole that is essence of Motown, and it's just that really good driving song. No, driving song because it hasn't got a driving beat, but I don't know. To me, every song could be a driving song if it's like pushes it and keeps on going and going and going. And it's just a really nice fit. Trips. That's it. It's a trippy song. You know, it's just just have a trip.
Mm.
And so it's going to be Back to Black. I mean, so again, what Simon said, like mental health of now compared to 10 years ago is a completely different kettle of fish. So
yeah.
But anyway, Back to Black for me.
Great. Okay, Cath, are we going for a clean sweep here?
Well, I heard Love is Blind. I've got to be honest, I don't remember how that song goes at all. Apparently it was so insignificant, I've not made a single note about my thoughts on the song itself. Other than I thought it was lyrically hilarious. So she's cheated on a boyfriend basically, and basically she's saying, look, well, it was his fault because he didn't give me enough attention, but it's all okay because the boy that I screwed at least looked like my boyfriend, and I was thinking about my boyfriend whilst I was doing it, so it's all okay. So I thought that was quite funny. But then Back to Black, a little bit whiny perhaps. But it really reminded me of a Bill Bailey song about love that he did. Oh God, don't even know when he did it. And I'm just going to read out some lyrics from that. So it begins with, I was alone, my heart was cold, it was a stone, my soul was lonely like a stone, there was no moss. When I danced alone, but then I did not dance because I was alone, so I did not dance. And I'll just read one last bit. So the snowflake on the eye of a deer has turned to pus that oozes from an open wound. The deer, now blinded, stumbles into a ravine. The duck lies shredded in a pancake, drowning in the hosin of your lies. And that for me is Back to Black.
And that's what happens when Iron Maiden covers Amy Winehouse.
Wow. I don't know when the duck came into it, but I'm sorry to hear it had a chilling end.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
where's the vote then?
I think it has to be Back to Black because I think musically it was superior, even though the lyrics were amusing and almost comical to like a Bill Bailey song that I've just read out. So very entertaining all round really, so definitely gets my vote.
Well, I hated that song. That was my favourite. Good grief. Okay, well, I heard Love is Blind. I had lots of nice things about it. I quite liked the music. I thought her voice was being a very good instrument. I just didn't care for anything that instrument was saying to me at the time. So, it was just a filler. Track 5, I don't know, maybe it was a tactical manoeuvre. Back to Black, pure 60s sounding, old school soul excellence, basically. It's quite a dark song, especially towards the end before the beat kicks back in. Especially, here's a little fact for you, it's written in D minor, which any fans of Spinal Tap will know is in fact the saddest of all the chords. So there you go. Weirdly, it got to number 25 when it was released as a single, and then got to number 8 after she passed away. So,
okay.
Just, I don't know
what kind of message are you trying to tell the audience there?
I don't know. I think the audience have made the message that I'm now reading out. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought the orchestration as well. I really liked the orchestra sounds in there as well. So yeah, Back to Black all the way for me. So a clean sweep for track 5, Back to Black.
Yeah.
Right, on to track 6, Moodys Mood for Love / T.O. Licks versus Love is a Losing Game. Little fact for you, Moodys Mood for Love is actually a cover version of a song from 1952 by Eddie Jefferson, which itself was based on a 1949 recording of a 1935 song, I'm in the Mood for Love. I hope you followed that. And Love is a Losing Game is the 5th and final single from Back to Black. And yes, indeed, I hereby found out that there were several remixes of her stuff done. There were 3 remixes on this single alone, so well worth checking out. Okay, so let's go straight to Sai for the first word on these tracks.
So Moody's Mood for Love, it's a song I really like, and it's another one of those that highlights the whole you can just have it on in the background, not listen to it type aspect of the whole album. Tio Licks, again, is just a short interlude, which, like Cherry, was probably, if it's another separate track, we're discounting it. But because Spotify got mad with the sellotape and superglue, it's part of a double track issue here. Love is a Losing Game is a really haunting ballad, which, again, it highlights her loneliness. And to me, it's much more of a complete song. And it's almost a song that could be a movie main soundtrack song. It's the opening credits or it's the end credits. It's one of those two types of song. Did Amy ever do a Bond theme?
No,
I don't know if she did, but you're right. She could have been leaning that way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, it could be her audition for a Bond film in the near future type song.
Well, let's not forget she did mention Roger Moore in "You Know I'm No Good."
Yeah,
so she might have been lining it up. Yeah, Daniel Craig could have been next.
Yes, it could have been. I think the hauntingness of and the balladness of Love is a Losing Game just sneaks it for me. I'm not saying I don't like Moodys Mood Flow. I'm not going to be sad about which track goes through here, but I think Love is a Losing Game just edges it for me.
All right, fair enough. Stu, is Love a Losing Game for you?
I can't stand that song. That's the song. That's the song I skip. It's rubbish. It's the most boring. The way she delivers the lyrics is just grating on me, and the snare drum effect. Oh my god, it's horrible. No. So you know where my vote is going to go.
Love is a Losing Game.
Love is a Losing Game. Again, fantastic 60s sound. Nice horn section as well. Very, very subtle. Just teeny tiny, just in there, just driving that track forward. It's really good. So, Love is a Losing Game. I think lyrically as well, far better. I don't know what it is with the songs like Moodys, Mood for Love, and that. There's a couple of them. I don't know whether this is just trying to be too jazzy and go. To do all the ranges.
It's a cover version.
Yeah, do all the ranges, and it's just like, no, you don't need to. Like, less is more. It's fine. Just you can sing. We all know you can sing. So just deliver the. Well, at the end of the day, it's her art. It's up to her if she wants to deliver it, of course. But
I just found it confusing to have a cover version of a cover version of a cover version. But
that's why she couldn't sing it properly. She's going, I don't know how to sing this.
I also worry that if you're putting cover versions on your first album, have you not got enough songs of your own yet? And you should maybe wait until you have.
Maybe.
I have a bit of a problem with cover versions. As a rule, anyway, unless they're particularly on a cover version album. So, yeah. So, Cath, gather your thoughts, gather your socks.
Scraping them together. Yeah.
What do you think of these two?
So, I'm going to start with Love is a Losing Game, which Amy, she reflects over the painful moments of loneliness and confusion in her life. Boring. I just didn't like it. Musically.
You have no emotions, do you?
I'm just not really into that style of music. It's just, I mean, there are some songs that I have enjoyed on these albums, but this one, it just didn't really do anything. And I just found that it was very much like, in fact, I felt like it was on the wrong album because it seemed like it was the same sort of style as the songs from the Frank album. So I didn't really like it. And just found it a bit dull. Whereas the other song, Moodys Mood for Love,
Moody.
I thought Moody Mood. I thought that I thought she sung it better, and it was just slightly more catchy. And I mean, only slightly more catchy. But I just enjoyed it a bit more, and it didn't bore me quite as much as the other one. So Moody Mood gets my vote.
There we go. Well, for the casting vote, I have to say, although it was a cover version of a cover version of a cover version, I thought that was frankly the most interesting thing about Moodys Mood for Love. It couldn't have been more middle of the road for me, and there was even a sort of a scrapey sound in the middle that I would normally quite enjoy on a sort of a serrated wooden block. I can't think of the name of the instrument, but even that could not stir me from my somnambulance. Love is a Losing Game. It was an okay song. I think the thing that it had going for it, but also a worrying thing that it had going for it, is that a 23-year-old could have such a negative outlook and such a somber set of lyrics. And as a love song, it's a sort of antithesis of it. It's all heartache as opposed to, there is real emotion in that. I thought from what she'd done, as opposed to most love songs in the hit parade. So Love is a Losing Game swung it for me. Right. Although I wouldn't have been upset if both of them had disappeared into the ether. We've got to have a vote, so that was it. So Love is a Losing Game for the win.
It's definitely one of those ones that if those two tracks went up against any of the other tracks, neither of them would be getting on the album.
I think you're right. There. Okay, so on to track 7. On Frank, there is, in brackets, No Greater Love, versus Back to Black, the factually accurate Tears Dry on Their Own. So there is No Greater Love. It's another cover version. It's been covered several times throughout the years. It's a 1936 jazz standard composed by Isham Jones with lyrics by Marty Symes. So check that one out at home in your own time, not our time, in your own time. And Tears Dry on Their Own, which is the main fact of that one is it's got the main chord progression of the song's chorus samples Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell's 1960 song 7. You can work that out yourself. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. So there you go.
There you go.
So there's your facts. Now, with those facts in mind, Stu, hit us with your thoughts.
Factoids. Right, so there is, as you say, in brackets, No Greater Love. I love this song. It's a dirty jazz club. Again, I'm at the bar, drinking my whiskey, just waiting, listening to the piano. And it's a great, I'm not really into jazz, but that's like stereotypical jazz. You know, when you watch films and they have scenes where there's in a club, that's the song they'll be playing when the copper's in there and he's just had an argument with his boss about why crime is still bad. Anyway, and then Tears Dry on Their Own. What have I put down there? Another classic. This was one of the singles, wasn't it?
I think
it was.
Yeah, it's their 4th single.
Yeah. And it's very. Again, I keep on saying it, but this song is a very Motowny sound, which is fantastic. I love that sound. And you can tell this one in particular, Mark Ronson's got his dirty hands all over it. But No Greater Love is actually got my vote.
Okay, wow.
So and a little factoid, that's the first vote on Frank I've given.
Okay.
Is it? Okay. Okay, interesting. So, well, there we go. Si, can you echo those sentiments?
Maybe. I mean, I think one of the things with Amy Winehouse, and it could have been said at any point of the songs previously, she has an uncanny knack of her songs or her versions of songs being both innocent and sleazy at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
No greater love. I've gone all Somerset. There's no greater love.
Fuck me pumps.
Yeah, we're back there. There's no greater love than me pumps, and fuck me pumps. There's no greater love is probably Amy's best cover song. I don't know if that's because of the fucking shitstorm she'd done recorded previously on track 6. But I mean, she's in a Hall of Fame here with who she's in a list with when she's covering that song. I mean, it's been done by Billie Holiday, Nat King Cole, Aretha Franklin, and Etta James. And deservedly, I think she's in that list. But the track that samples Ain't No Mountain High Enough just edges it again. I think it highlights how much she's grown as an artist. Yeah. And she was recording almost technically and dynamically perfect songs at this point. It's Tears Dry on Their Own is probably the most memorable song from either of the albums.
Wow.
Even if you like, obviously everyone's going to go Rehab. If you name the top three, you're going to go Rehab, you're going to probably go Back to Black, and then Tears Dry on Their Own. So, yeah, for me, Tears Dry on Their Own.
Okay, contentious in some elements there, I must say. We'll have to speak afterwards. Who have we not heard from? She's got green headphones. Her name's Cath. Go.
And yeah, she doesn't have very good articulation of what it is that she doesn't like about these songs either. But I'll do my best. Right, There Is No Greater Love, which explores the depth and intensity of love felt for another person. So it's a typical Amy song. And for once, even though it has that very old-fashioned feel to it, it's that bloody jazz club that we all seem to be stuck in, drinking our whiskies, I didn't mind it so much. And I don't know, I'm not quite sure why this one stood out and didn't irritate me as much as the other ones have been doing. But actually, yeah, I could tolerate it, which was great. Probably because, well, it's a cover, as you said, many people have already done it, so it is a good song. But yeah, I just thought it was quite good. I mean, it wasn't that catchy, but I thought it was okay. And then the other one, Tears Dry on Their Own. So I didn't like the percussion instruments. I didn't like the clicky noise going on. I found that annoying. Sort of it sounded like there's a skeleton or something just kept collapsing. Because I play a lot of video games and that's where my brain goes. And then there was a lyric about the guy walking away when the sun goes down. And I just thought, I don't care, just so what? However, plus points.
Wow.
This is the first ever song I actually heard from Amy Winehouse. I remember hearing it on the radio and I was thinking, I've been hearing everyone's going on about how great she is and then they played this song on the radio and I just thought it sounded like it's been sung by a cartoon duck. Just thought, I don't understand what the fuss is about. This is it sounds like a Disney duck singing a song to me. It just didn't. Yeah.
Wow.
It sounded a bit weird.
Okay, so where's your vote going here?
I'm confused.
Well, I know that Tears Dry on Their Own is the more popular of the two, but I think I just enjoyed the other one a bit more, despite not really liking that sort of genre of music. So it's going to go on. There Is No Greater Love.
So 2-1 to There Is No Greater Love. And on to my own thoughts. Well, There Is No Greater Love is a cover version and was not written by Amy Winehouse, therefore is not an Amy Winehouse song. So I can tell you that Tears Dry on Their Own will be receiving my vote on factual merit, but also because it reminded me somewhat of another singer, and I've no idea if she was influenced by this at all. HR from Bad Brains was renowned for singing in as many different types of way as he could within a song.
Yeah, and she was definitely influenced by him, without a doubt.
What I thought was, in this track, she was warbling here, going low there, almost rapping at this point, then crooning, and it was just all over the place, but coherent at the same time. And I thought that was really clever. Although the song is not particularly upbeat or anything else memorable apart from Ain't No Mountain High Enough being in it, I just thought the vocal performance alone was worth the win. Plus it wasn't a cover version, which means we have a tie break, which means that I have to cast my vote. And of course we know which way that one is going. So the winning track of track 7 will be Tears Dry on Their Own off the Back to Black album. All right, on to track 8, In My Bed, the third single from Frank. And we also get some remixes on that one, including one by Bass Gangster. Lovely. Versus Wake Up Alone from Back to Black. That one I'm trying to work out where the guitar riff comes from or reminds me of. Maybe someone will be able to fill me in on that one. But let's go straight back to Cath. Do you like to be in my bed or do you like to wake up alone?
I'd prefer to wake up alone if you don't mind. But so in my bed, she's talking about sleeping with an ex-boyfriend, and she just wants sex. Fine. A bit more energy than the other songs on the album, but still, this album is just not doing it for me. I'm struggling with it, so wasn't overly impressed with that. So obviously, enjoyed Wake Up Alone a lot more. I thought her warbling game was tight in this one.
Nice tight warbling game.
Yes.
That's important. Yes.
Although the intro,
The
I found it to be like a less good 1950s song than the other songs that sound like they're inspired from the 1950s. But yeah, she had a good old warble. Well, 50s in my opinion, which this is. So yeah, I'm voting for Wake Up Alone.
Well, there we go. There we go. Cath will be waking up alone. Si,
Yep.
what will you be doing?
Well, it's this one is super close. I recognise the beat on In My Bed, and it's like I went down a huge rabbit hole trying to work out
yes.
how it was.
I meant to mention it is the beat of the Incredible Bongo Band's 1973 cover of Apache.
Is that what you got? It's like I actually got that her producer just basically reused the beat he created for Naz's "Made You Look."
Well, apparently that's where it comes from.
Yeah, and it's just like that.
Right.
To me, that's a bit cheap. It's like if you've got a producer and you've done a beat for an artist, and go, "Oh, I've got a good beat for you, Amy." It might sound a bit similar to the. No, it's fucking identical. It's exactly the same. He's just basically taken the track and moved it over to Amy, and it's an incredibly jarring bolt when the beat kicks in. When you take it follows. If you listen to the album as a one, when you've literally gone from the strict back song that utilised the sound of crickets in the background, with "There's No Greater Love," to that is it's hugely jarring. Wake Up Alone has a great Unchained Melody-esque intro.
Was that what it was?
That's what I kind of got from it. It's got that that rising and falling.
Yeah.
But again, it shows Amy highlighting her struggles with depression and alcohol. And it's it's almost getting to the point now where you go, right, okay, at what point do they step in? I mean, I know you've got the whole, they tried to make me go to rehab, but this is what now, the fourth or fifth track we're talking about on this album where it's really highlighting how depressed she is and the struggles with alcohol.
It's almost like one of the lines in Rehab should have been, they tried to make me go to rehab, I didn't go, so then they decided to make me write all these other songs. So here we go.
Yeah, but not as catchy. Not as catchy.
Yeah. Needs a bit of lyrically working on, but yeah.
On a different day, I'd probably go the other way. I really love the soulfulness of Wake Up Alone.
Mm-hmm.
But In My Bed is different to anything else on the album. And I think it makes it a bit more memorable because it takes you out of that whole jazz club element. Don't get me wrong, I love the jazz club element of the album, unlike you three, it seems.
Well, no, in elements.
I'm gonna go with In My Bed.
Okay, so that's 2 for In My Bed, I believe. Stu, no, is it one apiece?
It's one apiece.
Okay, Stu, where are we going with this?
My notes are very, very little on this one, really. In My Bed feels like a typical mid-album song, just a bit. It's all right, just a bit. Nothing special. The guitar loop is a little annoying, but when the beat kicks in, it's great. It sort of just takes it a bit higher, and then her lyrics then can bounce around a little bit, got a bit more range on there. Which is weird, because you think if it were a beat, it would be sort of stifled a little bit more, because she's been structured into singing to the beat, where it's not there. Anyway, Wake Up Alone. All these are my notes. Good song, a little boring, nothing else.
Okay.
That's all I can add to that. To be fair, and I'd be lying if I can't actually remember what the song goes like at the moment. I'm wrecking in my head going, I can't even think of what the melody was or anything. So it's going to be In My Bed. It's I think Si was right as well, just the way she's that song on the whole of Frank album just seems to be a bit more stand-outy. Even though I've just contradicted myself going, it's a bit of a mid-album song, a bit boring, but I don't know, there's some parts of it. It's like I say, when the beat kicks in and there's all the elements start like coming together, cooking.
I had to look at that
off.
point when I heard In My Bed. I had to start looking and see if she started getting Mark Ronson involved at that sort of time. She hasn't, but it has got that kind of. It wouldn't be out of place on Back to Black.
No.
Fair call. Okay, so my summation was In My Bed. I have one line that I've written. Oh no, a couple of lines. Yes, we're back to the Dutch clubs again. Nice. Very happy with that. I like that song a lot, especially the ending with what I couldn't work out. And I had to look this up. There's definitely a saxophone in there, but there's a flugelhorn as well. And one can only hope that that is a flugelhorn solo. The flugelhorn, the most maligned of all the soloing instruments. So let's hope it was a flugelhorn. Wake Up Alone. I like that guitar riff. I don't know whether I'd heard it before, or whether it just was so 60s that it sounded so familiar. It's an okay song. Again, it's pretty dark. But yeah, just for the overall break in the darkness, I think I liked In My Bed more. So In My Bed for the win. Another track from Frank. Wins a rosette there. All right, on to track 9. We've got Take the Box on the Frank album versus the rather Slayer-esque Some Unholy War track title from Back to Black. Have I got any particular stats on those? No, nothing in particular. It's straight to the opinions of Stu.
Take the Box. A little slow, but I think it's a great song. It's a great song, really. It's got a Hammond organ in it. Well, I think there's a Hammond organ. Did you hear it in there? And to me, if it's got a Hammond organ in, it's a tick. It's automatic tick in my book. Great lyrics as well, because it's using some more swear words, which is great. So, you know me, feels so fucking angry. Yes, I agree. You've got my vote. Yeah. Someone Only War, great backing singers. I love the backing singers in that one. Absolutely brilliant. Which do I love? I think I love the backing singers more than Amy in a way. But it all goes. It wasn't for Amy, then the backing singers wouldn't work and all that kind of stuff.
So I can tell you that Take the Box was a single, and it was the highest hit parade single from that album, which is interesting because it had swearing in it. So.
I didn't even know that was a single. You are right.
There you go.
Yeah, songs. What you said, you didn't think of singles as singles. But Some Only War is another Motown classic. Motown feel that song is. But I'm going to go for Take the Box. It's
okay.
I just like the. It's got a Hammond organ in it. No, it's not because of that. It just seems a better song, and also it's different to the rest on. Well, to me, it's different on what's on Frank. It just seems a bit more mixing it up a bit more. So,
well, you've given us a curveball at the end of that summation there. So, Take the Box gets a point. Cath, what do you think?
So with Take the Box, it's a song about Amy encountering one of her ex-boyfriends or something like that. And
love the accuracy. That's good.
Yeah, it details the tremendously specific encounter that Amy had with her ex-boyfriend Chris Taylor following their breakup. There you go. That's what it's about.
Okay.
And I found that it's, even though it's on the album that I'm not overly keen on, I found that her singing style seems to have sort of matured, I suppose, and it sounded a lot more like the Back to Black album. And it was the Amy that I enjoy more and I'm just more familiar with. So I sort of noted that about the song. But I also thought that it turned a potentially fun sort of mudslinging topic into something that was kind of a bit slow and boring. So I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't a bit more sort of aggressive.
You're just after drama, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of the topics are of that nature. But I also sort of noted that she sort of held notes, and she was quite warbly, and it sort of reminded me of Christina Aguilera's singing style a little bit, this song. So I thought that was quite interesting. Okay. And then compared with Some Unholy War, which is basically what Amy is promising her undying commitment to her partner Blake Fielder Civil. Well, Blake's a dick, so that song can fuck off. My vote goes with Take the Box.
Cath's opinions don't necessarily reflect the opinions of this podcast,
but they're good.
They are duly noted. So, which one did you go for, Cath? Take the Box.
That's right. Yes.
So we're is that one apiece? I think.
I think.
Oh,
no,
2-0 to Take the Box.
Yeah.
Si, are we going to bring a score back for Some Unholy War or not? Well, let's see.
This is my notes, and you'll probably guess which way we're going, straight from the opening line.
To
okay, call Some Unholy War a filler track would be giving it a huge amount of disservice, but it does get lost in the album as a whole. And it does very, very little to stand out from the pack. Take the Box, however, Amy hugely disapproved of the inclusion of strings on the track. She was officially came out and with, I think they put fake strings on Take the Box, but I wasn't a part of that. I would never ever have put strings on my record ever. And this guy doing the mixer song, he just didn't even think about it. Which is like a really weird comment to make on an album you're about to sell. It's like, I made this album, I fucking hate the song.
But not only that, there are strings on the second album. So
yeah, which makes it even... Was that her choice or?
Yeah.
But if you listen to the demo version of the song on the deluxe edition, I would probably argue the demo version minus the strings is far superior. She's probably right. But the inclusion doesn't damage the overall song enough to not win the battle, because like Some Unholy War is just... Is it boring? Boring too strong?
No, if that song was on Frank, you'd have a different opinion.
What, if Some Unholy War?
Yeah, if I think it was on Frank, because it's a very different style to what Frank is. You're saying like it's getting lost in the mix of back to back because they all merge and sound a bit like the same. You know,
yeah, it's almost as if that and
it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame. But it is a good song. But
it's just it does the opposite to what one was it? The In My Bed. It was the last track we discussed. That's how long ago it was. It's almost the opposite. That Some Unholy War should be on Frank and In My Bed should be on Back to Black.
Interesting. It's probably safe to say at this point, since we've already got clear ideas on both albums, that in a subsequent interview, Amy Winehouse said she wasn't very keen on Frank. Not so much from the musical point of view, but she had a real issue with the business side of it, how it was promoted and marketed, etc., to the point where it actually affected how she viewed the album artistically and sort of didn't really listen to it or have it around the house.
That kind of ties in with the whole she recorded it with one thing in mind and they fucked around with it type aspect.
So,
but yeah,
so
Take the Box still gets it for me. It's Some Unholy War just... Yeah, it just doesn't feel... It's one of those ones that I can't tell you why I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Well, I wasn't going to do this so soon. I was going to hold this till later, but Napalm Death Card played.
No way.
Take the Box is okay. But throughout the whole thing with the backing vocals, all I could think of was the film Seven and What's in the Box. Listen to it again, you'll know what I mean. The only thing, I mean, she hit some different notes. She's hit some very high notes on this track that she hasn't necessarily done in anything that we've listened to so far, and so could clearly sing quite well. And hold notes in a high register. Again, more showcasing, but it just didn't mean anything to me, that song. Some Unholy War, I liked the beginning. It made me feel like a Tarantino film was coming on. I loved the backing singers. I loved the slow groove. We had maximum Billie Holiday wobble factor in there as well. I liked the song title. For me, it was not a great song, but I thought it was better than What's in the Box or Take the Box. So, yeah, Napalm Death Card played, guys. I'm overruling Some Unholy War for the win.
Right, okay.
Ooh.
All right, on to track 10, October Song versus track 10 on Back to Black, He Can Only Hold Her. Let's go straight back to Sai. What do you think about these two?
Oh, it's another flip-flop decision for me.
Haha.
The opening drum beat on October Song just hits.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to this and I kept hearing the sound of a bird and it was annoying the fuck out of me. And it's like, when you actually realise the reason behind the song, it makes complete sense why. In the fact that it's a song about her bird that basically carked it. I'd assume in October. She never goes into when it died. She never goes into the name of the bird. So it might be the name of the bird. It might
You've really pieced this together, Poirot.
Yeah, I know. It's like, as I say, Sherlock is resting easy tonight. I'm here. It also has that rawness of feeling like a jam session that was recorded.
Right.
Which really ties into the whole jazz club feel of Frank again.
Yeah.
Nice.
He Can Only Hold It. I really love that ba-da-dum-bum-bum horn that goes throughout it. And it's overall, it's a complete song for me that just highlights how good Amy was as a songwriter and a performer. Everything just meshes together almost perfectly. It just feels right. So, yeah, for me, He Can Only Hold Her.
Okay. All right. Sai, thank you very much.
You're
Cath,
more than welcome.
let's hear it.
Okay, so October Song about the canary that flew away. Apparently,
Wait, it flew away?
she
It didn't die?
It flew. Well, I mean,
Poirot,
maybe
you're
it
fired.
I've been sad for so long about this fucking dead canary.
well, she says it flew away, but maybe that means it died. But it was named after the movie star Ava Gardner as well.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
yeah, there you go. There's your facts about the canary that flew away or died.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of an interesting song, slightly different from the other themes on the album, which was pleasant, quite a nice listen. And I guess it didn't stand out too much, and I guess I found the drum machine thing a bit annoying as well because it was very apparent, and it distracted me from sort of listening to the lyrics about the song. But I thought the song was fine. And then He Can Only Hold Her just seems a bit too sort of cheese pop to me. A little bit too commercial. She's sort of moving away from her influences and trying to be too mainstream, which I didn't really like that much.
Which is weird because it wasn't a single, so why do that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I'm going to go for the October Song just because it was just, I liked it more.
Fair call. 1-1. Stu, give us the lowdown.
Right. So, now the funny, I've just read up about the October Song as well, and she had an interview with Mojo magazine where she put, "I love that bird. It was a sad time, but I got a good song."
Every cloud.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Every cloud.
Tomorrow I'll be writing a hit song on having to sacrifice my dog.
However, I find that song incredibly annoying. It's just I don't know, annoys me. One of those. I think I'd still listen to it all the way through, but I just wouldn't be happy about it. Where the other one I'd just skip just now. I understand what Cath's saying. Yeah, it is very formulaic, especially because of Back to Black is. This song is just very typical of that album. There is nothing really new in this song at all. But I prefer this song because it's got, again, a 60s Motown feel. I just love that sound. And it's not the October Song. That's what I've also written.
Okay, all right. So 2-1 to He Can Only Hold Her.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, October Song, I've written the main word, funky, with an exclamation mark. Also, she was hitting more higher notes on this again. Not the nasally mid-range stuff, but some of the higher notes that she could clearly do, and didn't really do that on the second album. So I quite like that. But I also like the fact she didn't milk the fact that she could do it and just keep throwing that into every song. So I thought that was quite nice. I think that He Can Only Hold Her. Yes, it's still got that thematic. It's keeping that theme going on the Back to Black album, but
Yeah.
the backstory to that song is more interesting than the song itself to me. Even with the funky backing vocals on He Can Only Hold Her. So the whole thing was based on a track called My Girl, She's a Fox by Robert and Richard Poindexter, which the guy who made the demo of this song heard from his sister, played it to Amy, who liked it. He said, right, I'll do you a beat based on that. And then he didn't get a writing credit on the album and ended up suing for copyright infringement. So the whole thing just sort of felt a bit corrupted to me.
Right.
So it rather spoilt my enjoyment of the song. So October Song was the one for me, meaning we have a draw.
Excellent.
And as you can already tell, October Song is going to get my casting vote on that one. So October Song.
The Canary wins.
The
That's
Canary
great.
wins.
Never discount the dead bird.
Or Flew Away, whichever it was.
All flew away.
All right, so we're on to our penultimate song. Track 11 on Frank, What Is It About Men? Versus Addicted on Back to Black. Quite an interesting lyrical one, this one. Let's go straight back to Stu, who's been waiting quietly in the wings on the last one. What are your thoughts, Stu?
I have. Very quiet. I'm a quiet man. Right, so What Is It About a Man? I think it's a great song, really sad, about her, basically a dad leaving. It was a family breakup. Is it the Kramer versus Kramer song? Is that what she's written?
Could be.
You do understand that film reference I've just
Yeah.
made, yeah? Okay, you did. It sounds like these two didn't.
I feel old.
It's a very, very sad film in the 70s. Anyway, I think the music's really good in that as well. It's a really sad song. It's, again, as she's doing a lot of wearing a heart on a sleeve. I bet that was quite a hard song to write as well. I don't really know any facts about it, but, I just know that it was about her father leaving and all that stuff. Actually, didn't her father, he was in an affair for 10 years and then he left with the person he was working with, whatever. Addicted, now that song has a lovely snare sound. Now that's the snare.
Phew.
That is a lovely snare sound, a really nice. Track just drives it forward. Top lyric: when you smoke all my weed, man, you've got to go to the green, man. I think that's a great lyric. But what is it about men? It gets my vote. I just think it's a really sad song, and it's showcasing her. I mean, she's a songwriter, of course she is, but I don't know. It just seems a bit more chops in that song than the other songs.
Cool.
So I'm going to go for that one.
Cool. Cath, what do you think?
So I didn't know all the information about what is it about men. So then when I was sort of reading the lyrics as the song was playing, I was thinking, she's clearly picked a side here. Like, shouldn't she? Like, she loves both her parents equally, but her dad's a villain here. What's that one about? So yeah, I guess if he was a bad person, then fair enough. So I thought what it was about was much more interesting than the music itself, of which apparently I have no opinion. So yeah, it was an instantly forgettable track as far as I was concerned. Whereas Addicted, I thought was brilliant. I think actually this is the best track on the album, even though it's sort of one of the, well, it's certainly not one that I'd heard played on the radio. It seemed like, yeah, again, really strong influence from like 50s, 60s, Ella Fitzgerald, that sort of thing. And I also found it quite sing-alongy as well. It was just really fun, soulful pop song. So yeah, Addicted.
Oh yeah, the line about make sure I've got yours, or you've got yours and I've got mine. That was the sort of little hook line, which I thought was good. Okay, so Addicted, so 1-1. Si, tell us.
Yeah, so I found this one a strange matchup because it feels like both. We've said this previously, like on other like tracks. This one deserves it, but I think this matchup, both songs could be on the other album,
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't feel out of place. Yeah, what is it about men? Totally sad song. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it's this one or it was another one that basically is about because her father cheated, she felt she was destined to also be a cheater in relationships because of him. I can't remember if it's this one or if it's You Know I'm No Good that she really brings that point home. The bass line just pulls you through the verse as well of that. Addicted is a lot more playful, but I don't think it begins to compare to What Is It About Men?
Right.
For me. So yeah, it's a short one, but yeah, totally sad song. What is, and as you say, I think Stu said, it must have been really hard for her to write about that because it's a proper gut spilling song. So yeah, What Is It About Men?
So we've touched upon this earlier. You've got the idea of being very open and vulnerable in the things that you're writing about. But then does that go too far into sort of washing linen in public? I don't know. I'm not one to judge, but I think what she's done on What Is It About Men, she's trodden the line very carefully and come out on the right side of it. I mean, I don't know if there is a right side in such a sort of sad song. Even musically, if you take the lyrics away, it's got that, I don't know if it is in D minor as well, but it sounds sad regardless. I thought that instrumentation with What Is It About Men was right up there with the Back to Black track in terms of the arrangement, orchestration, etc. So I thought, yeah, that was a really good song. Addicted, my notes on this are a 60s girl group song about the revered leaf, the green, the Mary Jane, the Heshishian Lungsman. Fun, but not in the same league as its competitor track. So, yeah, I think What Is It About Men for me. I liked Addicted. It was maybe Amy Winehouse does Cypress Hill. I don't know. So maybe say that, but maybe
it's
not.
That snare sound, isn't it? It's a nice, lovely
snare.
snare.
But let's not take away from that snare sound. But yeah, What Is It About Men takes the win for me. Okay, here we are at the end of the albums. The final track, track 12, Help Yourself, which samples You Won't Be Satisfied Until You Break My Heart, as recorded by, anyone know?
Doris Day.
Correct, Doris Day in 1945, believe it or not. And we're matching Help Yourself and Frank up against Close to the Front, which was not on the main Back to Black disc. It was part of the Japanese edition bonus tracks. So Close to the Front is the final track. Not Valerie. Some of you may be baying to hear our thoughts on Valerie, but Valerie did not make the cut for this particular choice. So let's hear words on the final track. Let's go straight back to Cath. What did you think on these final two?
Right, so Help Yourself, about a friend of Amy's who had addiction problems, and I thought that was a really interesting song, given that she had her own problems with alcohol addiction. So yeah, the lyrics were quite interesting. So yeah, sort of reading them and just thinking, yeah, you're taking this stance with your friend, but
did she by that point? Or was that after the first album started?
Yeah, maybe. But, I just found it quite interesting, that the way that she wrote that song. And I also quite liked it because, again, it had that sort of 1950s Ella Fitzgerald feel to it, which I quite like. And just because of video games that I played that had that sort of music, that's sort of led me to appreciate songs from that era. So, yeah, I thought it was quite a nice song. Although musically, I didn't find it too interesting. It was much more about the vocals than the music for me on that song. Mm-hmm. Whereas, so the other track, the Close to the Front, I found quite an unusual song, and I guess because it was missing from the European version of the album, it just seemed to be quite different from all of the other tracks. And I think because the bass seemed quite heavy, but then it had sort of high keyboard sounds. It was just it felt a little bit it felt like that sort of Dutch sort of cafe vibes.
Oh well, I'm all over that. Yeah.
So I thought, I don't know, I just wasn't sure that the two types of sounds really went together. I wasn't sure if it was like a deep sort of groovy, sexy song or a chilling out sort of Dutch cafe song. So it confused me a bit. So yeah, I guess because I wasn't so into it, my vote is going to go with Help Yourself.
Okay, when you said high keyboards there, I wasn't sure whether you mentioned on the note scale quite high,
Yeah, the notes,
or whether
yeah.
the keyboards had sort of been
The keyboard-
raised above the
It was
ground.
on a ladder.
Yeah, and they were sort of looking down on Amy being played. But
Maybe it was
it's good
both.
to clarify that. So thank you. So Help Yourself 1-0 up. Stu, what do you think?
Right, Help Yourself. It's really great backing
Mhm.
vocals. Again, this song actually to me would have been more at home on Back to Black than on Frank. It's got more of that Motown vibe, which Back to Black has more of.
If only we had a time machine.
I know. But I did find it a little bit boring. But then Close to the Front confused the hell out of me because the way I couldn't find it in Spotify and all that, so I've had to dig it around from somewhere else because you just can't get it. So, but I listened to it. Badass bass line. Love the bass line. Love it. It's an odd song. It is a bit all over the place, but it's got a Hammond organ in it.
We know how you feel about Hammond organ.
Well, yeah. Also, did you say Help Yourself is a cover song?
No, it samples.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I thought you said it was cover. Because I was just thinking, I've never heard of that. Anyway, but it's close to the front. I don't know. It just seems, to me, it seems like a demo song. Like she's just in a bedroom, couple of samplers, banged it together, and then this is the tape she's shoving out to, record companies going, this is what I can do.
Keyboard sellotapes
But
on the ceiling. Yep.
That's it, yeah. But I like that sound because it's a raw, it's a more raw sound, more. Yeah, or the version I heard anyway. It's not a very good recording, but it's not. I think that was more of the mixing technique because the bass was far too loud, really, for what it needed to be. But it also added to it as well. So, but anyway, close to the front for me.
Nice, close to the front. So, Si, do you echo this or do you go against the grain?
I think with Cath on this one. I think the Help Yourself, it intensifies a classic jazz sound that you get in with the Frank. You're back in that jazz club, and I think it's what the album needs after like the iciness and bluntness of what it is about men. It needed something a little bit more uplifting to finish effectively. Although that's not technically the end of the album, but it is for our point of view. The thing I have with Help Yourself is, and it's just one lyric, and it's in the chorus. It's the chorusy bit. Is I can't help you if you won't help yourself. No, I can't help you if you don't help yourself. And all I could think of is Flavor Flav going, I can't do nothing for you, man. And it was just like that song. I just got that song out of my head, and I've got that back in my head, and it's like, fuck me, Amy. Cheers. However, Close to the Front it's very, very busy. When you consider all the other tracks we've discussed on both these albums, it is super busy. And you have to really listen to it in order to appreciate the story of the song. Whereas I feel that Amy Winehouse 101 is the opposite of that. I feel for it to genuinely be an Amy Winehouse track, you can put it on and not listen to. And it's just there. It's the soundtrack to whatever you're doing. And I don't think Close to the Front does that. So for me, it's Help Yourself.
Ooh, there we go. Help Yourself 2,
Right.
Close to the Front 1. All right. I found this quite difficult. I threw Close to the Front in because to match up the tracks, basically, and not have Valerie. But there's nothing wrong with Valerie. Just wanted to throw something else in. And I loved Close to the Front because it's got a double bass line and super club beats. So great. Are we now hearing some new direction that she could have gone in? And am I also hearing what remix artists might have been doing? I'm going to go and check out some of these remixes on the singles. But then Help Yourself, there's one particular thing I like about it, and it starts off very early. There's a little horn riff in there that then sort of goes away while the track sort of progresses on and on. It comes back and it goes away again. And then right towards the end, it becomes up more prominently in the mix and then just sort of rolls through. And yeah, I don't know. It's a nice little horn riff, and I just really liked it. So I thought both. I mean, Help Yourself is the official ending track to Frank, whereas Close to the Front is a bonus track. You're quite right that Help Yourself is kind of needed to take you out of that low of the previous track. So it's a good finishing track. But I just think Close to the Front hinted at other things that she could have been doing. I mean, we've got the 60s thing down. She can clearly do jazz. There's a bit of ska. Maybe we would have seen that in the future. But also there's the possibility for clubby stuff, so with double bass lines and trip hoppy things, and so I quite like that. It was a different curveball. So Close to the Front for me. Which I think brings us to our third tie. Unprecedented on this podcast. And once again, I'm delighted to say that I can cast the final vote. But I'm going to curveball it again. As much as I liked Close to the Front with a tie, I did like that horn riff that Help Yourself had, so I'm going to take that for the win, just to please.
But that makes no sense. Hang on a second. Why didn't you just put your vote on?
Because I've done that twice.
Yourself.
I like to mix it up. Got to mix it up. I'm going to give the win to Help Yourself. And so there we go. That's Frank and Back to Black. Stu, back to you for the summation.
Quick little stat. There was only 4 songs chosen from Frank.
Ooh, really? You remember I said at the beginning, there's one of these albums I can put on and not listen to.
Yeah,
it's Frank.
Ah.
Wow.
So then what's the point? Just don't bother.
You might need to tidy that point up. So.
The order of this super album will be Rehab, You Know I'm No Good, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Just Friends, Back to Black, Lovers a Losing Game, Tears Dry on Their Own, In My Bed, Some Unholy War. Oh, because that was a Napalm Death Card. That's that one. That's what confused me when I read that one out. October Song, What Is It About Man, and Help Yourself.
There we
Interesting.
go.
Excellent.
Excellent. So, Back to Black, stronger starter, Frank, stronger finisher. There we go. Si, what are we going to be calling this compilation track list?
And we will be calling this playlist Back to Frank.
Hey.
And that can be found on Spotify by searching for the title of the playlist, or alternatively, searching for Album Armageddon Profile, where you will find both this playlist and all our other playlists from our archive, which will broaden your musical horizons to artists you've never heard of or listened to previously.
Or cared for. Yeah.
And that just leads us to wrap things up. And for you, the listener, to go onto our Facebook and our Twitter and give the show a little old share to your own timelines. And for us to say goodbye. So say goodbye, Stu.
See you later.
Say goodbye, Cath.
Toodles!
And say goodbye, Rob.
Until next time!
Next time, we will be taking a band who captured the angst-ridden restlessness of American teenagers over 2 centuries to
Bruce Springsteen.
Armageddon. Bruce Springsteen. So, and until that time, it's a goodbye from me as well.
Bye-bye!
Goodbye.